Center for Development, Resource Governance, and our visitors from South Africa, the Southern African Resource Watch. The Southern African Resource Watch are not visitors as such. We have worked with them before in a similar conference some 4 or 5 years ago, when things were as bad as they are. I can't imagine them being worse than this. And that's why we have been very forthright in saying things as they are. The political economy of resource looting in Southern Africa. I think the word looting is most appropriate. Last week we had a conference, policy dialogue here on the plight, the crisis in the mining sector in Zimbabwe, the plight of workers and the unions. It was very disturbing. And I think it constituted a very important backdrop to this meeting. I was saying to Claude Kapemba yesterday that hitherto most of us believe that the abuse and the looting of resources care of CNN is only in the DRC. Last week we discovered that it's just as bad here. To place the subject in context, historical context, I just want to quote from Cecil John Rhodes. Do you know him? When you speak of monopoly capital in Southern Africa, you cannot dissociate it from Cecil John Rhodes. In 1895, Cecil John Rhodes said the following. I would ask you please to switch off your phones. You turn your phones to silent, please. He said the following. I was in the East End of London, a working class quarter, yesterday, and attended a meeting of the unemployed. I listened to the wild speeches, which was just a cry for bread, bread, bread. And on my way home, I pondered over the scene, and I became more than ever convinced of the importance of imperialism. My cherished idea is the solution of the social problem. That is, in order to save the 40 million inhabitants of the United Kingdom from a bloody civil war, we colonial statesmen must acquire new lands to settle the surplus population, to provide new markets for the goods produced in the factories and mines. The empire, as I've always said, is a bread and butter question. If we want to avoid civil war, we must become imperialists. End of quote. This was on the eve of the Congress of Berlin, if you remember, through which Africa was divided among the European powers. And the central theme of colonialism, imperialism, is resources. The question here on your program is why resources matter. Resources matter precisely for that reason. But more important, the question is whether the equation has changed since Rhodes stated these words. Is there a difference today? Has the looting stopped? The extraction of our resources and taken across to other countries to feed the factories of those countries, to create employment for those countries, to create wealth for those countries. He has stopped. The questions we need to consider here. Yesterday I was provoked by a post on Facebook by one of our lawyers, Fadzai Mahere. She said, gold plus platinum plus diamonds plus lithium equals poverty and debt. This equation needs to change. By examining this question of resource looting, can we hope to change the equation? Surely the purpose of such meetings as we are having today is to feed the tremendous advocacy being done by organizations such as South African Resource Watch and the Center for Resource Governance. We feel that we need to do more and more research so that these terms, these quotations, are not just rhetoric, but are fed by substance. So in welcoming here and asking Claude Gabeba to give his keynote, yes, I wish you to consider very carefully, one, how best to spread the word about looting in our countries, but more important, how to change the equation. Thank you and welcome you again. Cool.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you, Dr. Ibo. I think I had prepared some slides just to show some figures. Unfortunately, I'll try to speak to them. I don't do PowerPoint most of the time, you know. You can have power without point. So I'm from the charismatic churches, so I prefer to speak. But for a change, I put together some slides. But look, it's not a keynote address. I thought I should give some key, to pick up from the quote that Dr. Mandazes alluded to give some figures and give a broader perspective of the challenges that we are facing. One, I think we brought colleagues from different countries to come and speak about what is happening in their countries as a matter of exchanging lessons, experiences, and also understanding the nature of our region, how we are managing our resources, and how they are contributing to development, or not contributing to development. One, Southern African region is the richest region in the world in terms of resources. 50% of the world resources sit in Southern Africa. But when you look at the African continent, 70% of African resources are in Southern Africa. That's why we'll talk about platinum. Almost 88% we find it in Southern Africa. We'll talk about diamonds. 73% of the diamonds we find them in Africa, but Southern Africa is a big part of diamonds. When you look at the country, you've got Angola, you've got Zimbabwe, you've got Botswana, you've got the Democratic Republic of Congo, Lesotho, South Africa, Namibia. All of these countries producing diamonds. Gold from South Africa, Zimbabwe, Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania. We sitting at 40%. Lithium, we are talking about lithium, which can be also linked a little bit to cobalt. The Democratic Republic of Congo alone produces 60%, 65% of the world cobalt. And you know what cobalt today is. There's a rush for cobalt because of we want to deal with climate change. There's new technology. You want that metal. So the rush between the competition, the geostrategic importance of lithium, of cobalt, of coltan, which we have in Southern Africa, is immense. So everyone wants to come and control those resources. We have chromium, plenty of it in Zimbabwe, in South Africa. We're sitting at 80% of world chromium. Manganese, we don't talk about it. What plentiful. And zinc. But we don't talk about copper. Copper is the key metal. Whether you want cobalt, in anything you do, you need copper. And all our countries, with Zambia and the DRC producing biggest producers of copper on the continent. So those are the type of resources we have and the quantity we have. But certainly the contradiction is that we also have the poorest people facing difficulties to feed themselves, facing difficulties to find a shelter, facing difficulties for clean water, and not even access to health. So the contradiction between this abundance of resources and the poverty tells us that somewhere, somehow, we are losing these resources. Now, the problem of these resources is that they are different type of wealth. They are a gift. They are just in the nature. We don't create them. They are given. Because they are gifts, they are not sustainable. They get depleted. As people come and extract, they get finished. At some stage, we will not have gold, we will not have platinum, we will not have chrome, we will not have cobalt. You see, other countries which have depleted their resources, they invested in other services, in technology, new services that sustain their economies. As we are still at the primitive stage where we need to use these resources to develop, and it's the only resources we have to exchange with the rest of the world. I don't think we have something else. So these minerals are like a business. It's like a capital. When you have capital, you don't eat it. When you eat it, you go out of business. You need to reinvest it to create more wealth. So only countries that have managed to reinvest this wealth have diversified their economies on the basis of minerals. So now, the contradiction we have that today the African continent is sitting at $407 billion in debt. That is chrome plus gold, everything, lithium, is poverty and debt. You'll remember that this is debt accumulated between 2005 and 2018. And when you look at this period, is the period when we've had the best price on our minerals in terms of increase of mineral price on the world market. And we are producing these minerals, but we are going in debt. It's a contradiction for me. So there is a problem, which means that we are selling, but we are not gaining enough for ourselves. And we need to identify those problems. So we are not collecting enough from our minerals. there is the unpredictability of the market. We don't control the price, we don't control the market, but we have resources. Others set the price on the minerals. It's a problem. The colonial structure continues, where we are selling raw materials. There is no country that has benefited optimally from its minerals by selling them raw. When you look across the board, they add value to their minerals. When you start adding value to those minerals, you start creating linkages. You start expanding your economy base and the tax base. But another problem is the ownership of these minerals. Our constitutions across Southern Africa say the minerals belong to the state. But in reality, they don't belong to the state because we give them to private companies. And most of these private companies are foreign companies. But certainly somebody will say, we have joint ventures. But when you look at those joint ventures, the ownership we have is just, when you look in Southern Africa, it's between 15% and 35% ownership. You can't get enough from that reduced ownership. The only country today that has got equal ownership of resources is Botswana, where they are 50-50 with De Beers. And Botswana has also a cut of a certain level of production that Botswana can sell itself, can also cut and polish in Botswana. That deal has not happened anywhere on the African continent. So the question is, how did Botswana achieve that remarkable arrangement with De Beers? You have to remember that De Beers is also in South Africa, is also in Namibia. Still, Namibia and South Africa can't get the same thing Botswana has got. Because in South Africa, De Beers has only agreed that South Africa can return 5% of diamond production in South Africa to cut and polish. But Namibia does not even have that deal. So we have a problem of illicit financial flows. I think in this country, the former president gave a figure of 15 billion, which was lost from the Marange diamonds. How was it lost? If it's true, let's say. Because it might be true, because the embedded report speaks of closer to 50 billion. 90, now it's gone, people speak about 90 billion that we lose each year through illicit financial flows, tax evasion, and a lot of exemptions that we give to companies. You see, in this exemption, companies say we cannot come if you don't give us a good deal. A good deal means that you reduce your tax, you give them tax holidays. In this equation, it means that the money they bring is more important than our resources. So we don't sell properly our resources. Then it takes us to the issue of negotiation of contracts. How do we negotiate? What skills do we have? But more importantly, there is a lot of corruption in the way we negotiate, in the way we sell these things, in the way we collect our revenues, and in the way we manage it. Then the enclavity of the entire mining sector is a problem, because this sector is not linked to the rest of the economy. It's like this investment comes and jumps spaces. It jumps Harare, it jumps Bulawayo, it jumps Ngezi, it just goes in Marange, dig diamonds and get out. It's a problem as long as we've not linked the mineral resources to the rest of the economy, we will not benefit appropriately. So, now, because we don't mobilize enough revenues, remember I said that this is the only sector which can be a catalyst of development. the revenues we collect is not enough to deal with our developmental needs. Our government are unable to deal or to resolve our social needs. And we will not meet the sustainable development goals with the level of resources we have. Look, there are figures that have been given. Just to meet the sustainable development goals, we need 1.2 trillion a year. As Africa, between 600 billion and 1.2 trillion to resolve our social, to meet the sustainability development goals. We don't have enough infrastructure to build the infrastructure to the level that will serve the people. We need at least 93 billion a year to resolve our infrastructure question. And we can only mobilize half of that on the continent. Now, what does this mean? We need to borrow more. And we continue to be in debt. But what we do not also calculate is the social and environmental impact. Because when you put it in monetary terms, the loss becomes even bigger. Because you see, the problem we don't account for the environmental and social impact of mining on the environment, on people, and destruction, pollution, and so on. When you put that into monetary terms, our problem becomes bigger than the revenue we see. Then because we're in debt, government does not have money, the economy does not expand, it's unemployment, which is the biggest challenge we have today, especially with young people. And what happens is the expansion of the informal economy. And when we have an informal economy, government cannot tax it, then there's no return for the state. And it's a continuous collapse of the state because it's got no capacity to survive. So what are the solutions? You remember, don't go into countries because our colleagues are going to speak about the challenges in each of the countries. We need to promote openness of the sector. We need to ensure that we audit our mining activities. When you audit them, is to see if they are really producing the benefits that we want. But we need to know what benefits we want from the minerals. That's the vision. Each country must have a vision and define it. What do we want to do with platinum? Do we want only to collect revenue? And we know the problem of revenue is that it's collected on a narrow base. It's not enough because of the problem of the international trade, because of the problem of corruption, because of the weakness of the deal we signed. So we also need to have fair and effective taxation. We are also thinking that we might want to move from negotiating contract to legislation. When you go to China, I think my colleague is there, they don't sign contract. They give you legislation, a book, which they tell you, look, everything you want to know about investment in this sector is here. It's either you take it or you leave it. As we negotiate contract for each commodity, and we negotiate with each investor differently, we open up gaps for corruption and a lot of weaknesses. And we need to combat corruption. Now, I spoke about linkages. I think, and this will be really concluded, I think my argument is that revenue collection and taxation is important, but is not sufficient for African government, African state to benefit from the extraction of minerals. we need to create linkages. We need to add value to these minerals. Now, when we say adding value, we are not saying you need to add value to every mineral. They are strategic minerals to which we might want to focus on, to add value, to expand, and as a base of industrialization. And also as a base to open up other sectors, such as agriculture, tourism, and so on. It's because the PowerPoint is not giving us, is not working. I should have shown you, because what we need to deal with poverty, and poverty means food security, it means shelter, and it means a bit of infrastructure and so on. And we've got, in this region, plenty of minerals that can help us to promote manufacturing, to produce power enough for all of us, and clean power, because energy is important, which will need to create the infrastructure and agriculture. We've got plenty of phosphate to produce fertilizers. So we have a problem, because all these things we have in our proximity. But we also have what we call key mineral value, what we call the producer power. The producer power is the type of minerals we have. We have a comparative advantage because we have it in abundance. That is diamond, that is platinum, that is coltan and cobalt in our region. It's the only region where you find platinum in that quantity, in terms of dominance, diamonds, cobalt. And the question we are saying, since we have the producer power, how can we control at least these minerals to our advantage? South Africa and Zimbabwe are not talking on how to control platinum and impose, or how do we add value, what type of product we produce for the continent and for the rest of the world. We are not talking about how do we control diamonds. Why don't we set up Botswana to become Antwerp, where all of us will take our diamonds there, polish them, cut them, polish them, and sell them, and find a formula where we distribute the revenues. Why don't we set up a battery platform for cobalt for the entire world, because cobalt is produced on the African continent, and there is no. It's an important matter. Why don't we, as a region, reflect on these things? Because when we do that, we start to build the space for industrialization, for producing new industries, secondary industries that feed into that. So I'm saying we need a regional harmonization of our policies. We might want to really seriously look into regional dimension, the harmonization of certain policies that will strengthen our ability to deal with all these issues. So, in conclusion, I think we need to build our state. We need capable states. The biggest problem we have is that our states are weak. Even when you go down to the micro level, you look at the Ministry of Mines. In most of these countries, they are dilapidated. They've got no capacity, no logistics, nothing to run the mining sector. Only few countries. In fact, you'll go to Botswana, you go to South Africa and Namibia, you'll find something which gives you a semblance of strong presence of a country that is investing in mining. In the rest of the countries, really, it's there isn't much. I think we need an honest, courageous, and decisive leadership. Look, many things we can do them. I think the leadership is not strong enough to take decisive decisions and accept the consequences. Technology is available to add value to certain minerals. Technology can be bought. You don't wait for transfer. You can go and find technology and buy it and find the skills to run it, but you need to pay for that. It's a decision. There are countries in East Asia which are doing very well. So we need to harmonize regional policies. There are a lot of things which, there is this race to the bottom. When a company comes to Zimbabwe and negotiate about platinum, you increase your taxation, they will tell you, we can go get better in South Africa. When a company goes to the Democratic Republic of Congo, want to access copper, they say, no, Zambia is giving us a better deal. So you find the same companies in Zimbabwe and South Africa, the same companies in Zambia and DRC. De Beers is everywhere. But how do we harmonize to ensure that as we speak with one voice on certain very strategic issues? We need to add value to our minerals. Certain, not all of them. Look, I think gold, diamonds for beauty and so on. But add value to minerals which resolve the question of our people, the social problems of food security, of unemployment, of shelter, of clean water, and so on. And they're minerals. Those are strategic minerals that we need to identify and work on them. And we need to fight corruption. This is the biggest monster we have in the house, across the board, corruption. Unless we deal with that, we will not resolve the rest of the things we've spoken about. Thank you.
Asante, Patron. Thank you very much. I think Claude has set the tone. We are going to examine country situations. When we designed this conference a year or so ago, the idea was to interface worst case scenarios with less drastic scenarios. We will find out in the course of the day which are the better scenarios and which are the worst scenarios. But as Claude has indicated, it's not enough to highlight the problems, which are now legion in our region, but also to see how we can synchronize on a policy level, impact on policy. Yes, our states are very weak. They're getting weaker actually. Partly because of the class nature of our states. Our leaders are what I call compradors, comprador bourgeoisie. These are elements who are not grounded in production. They are agents of international capital. They are crooks, they are thieves, actually. They loot. They don't loot as much as the big looters do, but they are looting for the same. So we have a class of rulers who are, in this era, most frightening. In the old days, we thought it was only Mobutu. Now we have so many Mobutus. Ruling elites who are among the wealthiest. And we are also doing some research on the amount of money being stashed away through corrupt deals, mainly in the extractive industry. I mean, when a friend of mine came to give a lecture here, Peter Nyong'o from Kenya, he said when he arrived at the airport, he thought he would see cranes and buildings going on. Why? Because he says it's $15 billion. It must be back in the economy. It's not here. Somewhere in Europe. Remember Buhari last year in London? On arrival to Heathrow, someone asked him, is Nigeria corrupt? He says, yes, it's very, very corrupt. But so are some of you here. We are holding some of our money in London. So the capitals, the European capitals are among the centers of money laundering. I was telling Claude, when I first went to Brussels in the 70s, I was astounded because Belgium is one of the poorest countries in Europe. So you can see the Congo's resources on the streets of Brussels, literally. The same when I first went to London. I could see our resources. These are poor countries. You heard from Mr. Rose himself. We have become imperialists, we become rich. We have to break that cycle. So I will elect to chair the next session, and then we'll find someone for after lunch. So I'll invite my colleagues at DRC and Angola. Angola? Yes. Coach Township. Just point out that it's not in your program, but at 5:30 we have a policy dialogue. Those from Zimbabwe know the practice of policy dialogue. And over the years, 30 years of our existence as SAPIS, whenever we have such a conference, we also have a public session in the evening where the theme is elaborated and a summary of the day's proceedings presented. So at 5:30 there will be 5:57. We'll have some of the speakers here speaking to the public and the media. So we'll start.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Can I just introduce you?
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Introduce you. This is Ernest.
Yeah.
Pararo,
Yes.
National Coordinator. I'm sorry, we should have had some briefs on this because maybe later on, organizers like some briefs on the workers, on the speakers, so we know who they are.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Ernest Pararo. I'm the Executive Secretary for Congolese League Against Corruption, which is a member of Transparency International in DRC. In Zimbabwe here we have our colleague from Transparency International in Zimbabwe, which we are in the same movement. So we are a Congolese anti-corruption organization, and we are working on the mining sector with other organization. We are following up with the implementation of the legislation. We are following up with the monitoring of the fiscal health. The Congolese authority are mobilizing resources, financial resources in the mining sector, or in natural resources in general. Because natural resources, we have oil, we have forests, and we have now environmental, which with climate change, we are working on these issues. So my presentation will be divided in 3 periods, because during the Mobutu time, Mobutu didn't like private investor. Mobutu create public companies, and public companies should make the research, to geological research and mining on natural resource, and product the resource and sell himself the resource. So when money comes to the bank, the central bank, Mobutu took it. So he used the money for himself, but he doesn't like private investor during the area from 1965 up to 1986. In DRC, we didn't have any private company in natural resource. So I will start from 1996 up to 2001. Why? Because in 1996 is a period where people took weapons in order to overthrow Mobutu regime. And they took weapons, Laurent Desire Kabila, who came with his friend from Rwanda, from Uganda, from Zimbabwe, from Namibia, from Chad, and from Sudan. So he asked them, please, can you come and help me to overthrow this regime, who is a dictatorship regime? And those countries get support from Western countries, like US and UK, Belgium, and France. So he took power in 1997, but those who helped him asked him for economic interest. They said, no, we bring our troops there in DRC, we bring our arms, we bring our aircraft, but you must pay us. It's not for humanitarian issues. We have problem in our own countries, so we need money. So as Kabila doesn't have money, what he will give them? He said, yeah, we have something to give you. In Zimbabwe, for example, they got diamond through Billy, what is the name?
Rottenberg.
Yes, Billy Rottenberg. Uganda and Rwanda, they say, no, in Eastern, where we have our troops, we will start to exploit ourselves, to produce ourselves gold, diamond, coltan, castellite, and so much natural resources. Uganda and Rwanda. Angola, they say, no, we are as Angola, we are in West, you must give us oil. You know, DRC and Angola, they have a lot of border in the ocean, where Angola is taking oil from DRC to Angola. So the rebel who has been created by all of this Rwanda and Uganda, two Congolese party rebel movement, RCD and MLC, they come as Congolese rebellion, but it was not a Congolese rebellion. It's Congolese who has been created by all of this country in order to show that it's a rebellion from Congo, but in fact, it was not a rebellion from DRC. So you understand that from 1996 to 2001, there is a lot of countries who has been involved, and they came not only for humanitarian or to help, as the SADC region said that you must help each other, but it was not the protocol of SADC. It was a protocol of between regime, between president and other guys. So, from 2001 to 2006, a UN report set up by Security Council investigates that the illegal exploitation of Congo mineral wealth is linked to the conflict. In June 2000, there has been a UN report who said that the illegal exploitation of Congo DRC mineral resource is linked to the conflict. And then in 2001, Kabila was being killed. From the UN report, the Security Council set up a UN panel of experts who should monitor the illegal exploitation of natural resources in DRC. And the report concludes that the Congo War was involved many countries to have access and control over mineral resources or natural resources in DRC. This is the UN panel of experts who conclude that the conflict in DRC is a conflict to have access and control over the mineral resources. So you can understand why all of those countries was being involved in DRC conflict. It was not only to implement the SADC protocol and so or UN protocol, it was like it was economics interest. It's the same today when you see Libya, the war in Libya. French sent a lot of bombs in Libya, and one bomb cost more than 10 million euro. So they send, if they send 50 bombs, is how much million? 500 million. So who will pay this million of bomb? It's Libya. Now there is a war in Libya, but behind or near the oil refinery, there is no war there. You understand? There is no war there. It was like in DRC. So in October 2002, the UN panel of experts on illegal exploitation of natural resources published a report which said that the foreign troop was looting Congolese mineral, and they created a criminal network of elites who was being established to continue the exploitation. And the panel quoted 85 international companies, 85 international companies from UK, Belgium, India, China, everyone were there. 85 international companies. I was, because we don't have a PowerPoint, but we can see, like Bandro from Canada, Afrimex from UK, a company Ahmad Diamond Corporation from Belgium, 85 companies. Yes, there were all of South Africa, India, everyone, all the world they came.
Zimbabwe.
Even Zimbabwe. So the big question in the oil company, in the oil country, there was no prosecution against all of those companies. They come there, they sell weapons, they sell goods, they supply weapons, they give them information, everything, in order to have access to minerals. They get gold, they get diamonds, they get coltan. Business with telling you in Uganda, if you went in Uganda and Rwanda, that business was very, very active. So, because of the killing of the citizen was being killed during this time, the UN Security Council put pressure to all of those countries. First in Zimbabwe, in Namibia withdraws their troops, and internally, DRC starts to negotiate. They start to negotiate in Sun City here in South Africa, and in 2002, they reach an agreement to share and how they will govern, how they will share power. And in 2003, we got a transitional government who was being chaired by Joseph Kabila as president, and 4 vice presidents. They took one from Rwanda's rebel back, one from Uganda, one for civil opposition, and one from civil society. So it was been 1 president and 4 vice presidents. In 2004, and they set up a parliament, a transitional parliament. In 2004, a commission of DRC Parliament found that during the war, during 1996 to 2001, mining contract was being awarded without any assessment, and DRC was losing billions of dollars because of that. So from this commission, they set up a group to negotiate all of the contract who has been awarded during the war. And they negotiate with almost 53 to 56 mining contracts. Only in mining contract, 53 to 56. They give contract to friends, like a Billy Rotenberg, we negotiate the contract. We found out the contract, Laurent Desire Kabila need money. So the guy who was here was linked with former President Mugabe. Mugabe gives them weapon and he supplied from Laurent Desire Kabila. So to get back the money, Kabila give them diamond. So they set up a contract and we negotiate that contract. So during all of this period, we didn't evaluate the cost of financial cost of those looting of natural resources. We don't have any statistics. But some experts say that DRC lost almost $5 billion per year from 1996 up to 2021. $5 billion. How much school have we? How many schools we will build with this money? How many hospitals can we build with that money? How many roads? How many electricity power can we build with that money? But we lose it. So during that period, the World Bank came and said, okay, look, in order to put order in that sector, we will found a mining code, a mining law. So World Bank came with, they found the mining law, and in 2002, we got a new mining law. And in this mining law, the private sector get a lot of
freedom.
No, a lot of advantage, a lot of exemption. Like a disposition can say that from 22 up to 2012, you cannot change the fiscal regime. If the royalty is for 2%, you cannot change it up to 10 years. You understand it? On fiscal issues, from 2002 up to 2012, the fiscal regime will be the same. And if the guy who has a mining title, if he has this fiscal advantage, his subcontract, the guy who has contract to build for his mining license, he has the same fiscal advantage. So from 2001 up to 2018, the DRC doesn't expect a lot of money in mining sector. So we got a legislation which gives a lot of advantage to private sector. But a disposition of that mining code said that after 10 years of implementation of the law, the government can change. It can change all of the disposition, but the fiscal and financial and fiscal and fiscal regime, change regime, and custom regime cannot be changed. You can change everything, but not fiscal regime. Understand? So it give the country, it not give the country the way to be developed. So we arrived in 2006, we got election. From 2006, we had an election where Kabila was elected as a president. And the looting of resources changed the strategy. Because all the foreign troops was out, we doesn't have any rebel. The rebel was being maybe member of parliament, member of senate, the other was being minister, the other was being managed in different institutions. So the looting of natural resources changed the strategy. Which strategy they change? So the DRC authorities start to sell mining license to their friend. When they see like you, Zimbabwe company doesn't give them a lot of money, they take your license, they give to the other guys. They didn't give him in the value of the license, they give the license in the less price in order to get commission. They sell license to like a guy from Israel who is called Dan Getler. In the price that there is a real value of the mine. If the mine, the value of the mine was 1 million, you get it for $100,000. So when you get it for 100,000, you can sell it. And when you get the benefits, the profit, so you can share with the people of Kabila. The DRC authorities start to be contracted by mining company to supply goods and service. I know a Chinese company who's a lady who is supplying the cement. Is the mother of Kabila, the president, former president of DRC. Another was a governor who supplied transport from. He has a lot of truck who supply mineral from Katanga to Durban. So they got a lot of contract inside the mining company. You know, the looting changes their strategy. They are now getting contract in the mining company. They are now selling license in less the less price. For that Kofi Annan panel of experts found that DRC is losing $15 billion in contract awarded to some of those friends. They make a report. They found DRC lost $1.5 billion. So, civil society on that time was organization like Global Witness, our organization, other organization, Sarwa, was publishing a lot of reports on all of these issues because we found that at the end of the day, we don't have money in the budget. The DRC has $5 billion budget. And it's one of the countries where in SADC, where the budget is less, when they mobilize, internal mobilization of resources, it's less than 20%. Because of corruption, because of all of this. There is no transparency, there is illicit financial flow, the company are coming, they don't pay taxes, they corrupt, all of these things has an impact to the revenue, to the Congolese revenue. So, we put pressure, and in 2012, the government started to negotiate the mining reform, the mining law. But the private sector was not ready to negotiation. Because of corruption, some of the authorities, the reform was being stopped. And when the Western countries start to push pressure to the regime in Kinshasa to organize election, so Kabila wake up and say, we have a mining law here, we must go with it. So in 2015, so the real negotiation started. And then in March 2018, we got a new mining law. And this new mining law, which is now implemented up to date, it increases royalties, taxes, and there is some disposition of the law who is asking for transparency, who is asking for contract publishing, who is asking even environmental report publishing. I think in SADC we can be the only one country where we can get the environmental report who is published. I know we are reminding with Mozambique, with Zambia, Zimbabwe here in Zambia, I don't know if it's published, but I don't think so. Now in DRC, we can get all the mining contract in website. Go to the website in Mining Ministry of Mine, you have all of the contract, even some annex we have it. But it's not enough to publish is good, but the implementation of the contract. How the government is collecting money, this is a big issue we have now. And I think this is our work for today or for tomorrow, is to monitor how they are mobilizing revenue. Because we make a study with Sarwa 3 years ago, we found that there is a company where the financial, the accountability is in the US. All the paper, if they say, in mining company, it's not like they invest, you can find an equipment which costs $30 million. But to certify that this 30 million is true, you must have access to bills or to invoice. So our revenue, our authority revenues, they don't have, even they don't have internet. So in which way they will have access to this 50 million? They don't have internet. To certify that this equipment costs $50 million. You can go to website and type the name of the equipment and compare if in to compare the price, if the real price is that. The big challenge we have, we don't certify the investment. We have, Glencore. Glencore came in Congo and he found the equipment, but he says that he invested $6 billion. So, because there was in conflict between Glencore and the Kabila regime sent an audit. And the audit found that Glencore has fictive debt of $3 billion. So 6 billion, you take up 3 billion, it's not 3 billion. Who's the investment who is ready? So they reduce this to 3 billion. Now Glencore has 3 billion investment. There is another company who is linked to Eurasia Group. You know this company from Kazakhstan. It's the same. They said an audit there. They found that they have fictive debt of $1.5 billion. So when you come to invest, because this in mining sector, it's huge money. You come with people who will come to build the plant to extract mining. Who has been in mining site here? There is people who has been in mining site to see how they are mining. Yes. So when they build a plant, they must have insurance. You will see a plant which is cost maybe 600 million. But because we don't have any expertise, the investor come and say this plant is cost 1 billion. Why is he saying that? Because in our legislation, you must take up first your investment, and after to take the investment so you can start to pay the government. So what the mining sectors do? They give a lot of charge, a lot of expenses. So the period of investment will be more extended. If it should take money from 5 years, it will take them 10 years. So after 10 years, so you can return back your investment and start to pay. Understand? Mm-hmm. So that's why the Kabila regime started to send audit for these two countries. Why he sent the audit to these two countries? Because he found that Glencore was supporting opposition leader. And this Kazakh company was also was giving contract to an opposition leader. So you understand how we are losing money. So in conclusion, I can say from 1996 up to 2018, DRC is losing almost $10 billion in natural resources by year.
But per year?
Per year. In Eastern DRC, we have general who is involved in coltan, in gold, in diamond. Now, the Chinese who is more involved in diamond and in gold. because of that, because there is a link between this illegal exploitation of natural resource and democratic process. So some European countries like European Union, US, they take sanctions against those people. Some general, some politician who has the barrier of democratic process. Because those people doesn't like the regime change. They should, because the interest will be in question. When there is a new government, maybe they will lose their interest. So they was fighting in order to keep the same system. So what can we recommend to civil society and the other partner? First is to monitor the implementation of the legislation, if the legislation is fully implemented. Is to collaborate with other organizations to fight corruption in natural resources. As Claude said, there is a lot of natural resources inside, and corruption in natural resources. So we must fight for it. We must mobilize each other. We must see, because there is a link. You know, the truck which came from Congo is coming from Congo, Zambia, Zimbabwe, maybe Namibia, and South Africa. So the environmental, they damage the environmental space. I think we should collaborate to fight illicit financial flow coming from natural resources. As Claude said, there is $1 billion from each country. I'm telling you that from 1996 up to today, we lose each year $10 to $15 billion each year. Only DRC. So the other country, how many? How much? So, and I think we should put pressure to our authority on national level in order to be more transparent, accountable, and to involve the citizen in the management of natural resources. As an example of now in Zambia, the Supreme Court of UK allows Zambia citizens, they can bring mining company in Zambia to UK court. This is an example which we can follow. So if in our own country we cannot success, maybe in other country there can be a lot of progress. So this is a challenge we have in Congo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think the Congo story is the most interesting and very informs our discussion immensely. Just 2 points I want to make. I mean, you mentioned the figure 10 billion a year. In the first, during the war, 5 years, it was 50 billion. Zimbabweans have always doubted this figure, $15 billion from diamonds. You can see how feasible it is. Our estimate from our research was Zimbabwe was making 2 billion a year from about 2006 to 2016, 10 years. Gives you some idea in diamonds alone. The second point I want to make, and I hope we have some researchers here, Mpararo mentioned the UN report on the Congo. Please, compulsory reading. You can Google it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You will see it, Zimbabweans in particular, because some of your leaders, in fact, the current crop of leaders I mentioned in that report, Nangagwa, SB Moyo, they're there, looting together with Rottenberg. So it's factual, it's there in the report. I was at the 2002 peace agreement in Sun City, and I saw the report and crude reports on the mining sector, even photographs of Rottenberg and some of our current leaders at Bujimai mine. Third point I would make this link now between resource looting, power, and corruption, with a very strong military link. Zimbabweans will have read today that 600 million loan has been afforded to Zimbabwe on the back of a guarantee for a platinum mine which is not even operational yet, a $4 billion mine, not operational yet. And this mine is owned by the military, or the military have big shareholding, Red Dag something. And therefore it's very difficult in Southern Africa now, especially in Zimbabwe, not to mention DRC, Angola, that we'll hear shortly, to delink politics from the extractive industry. As I say, the relationship between extractive industries, looting, power, corruption, and until we are able to delink these things, I think the rot will continue. So we move on to the Angola story. Chef?
Yes. Ok, bom dia a todos.
Good morning, all.
Meu nome é Manuel Pembele Fulutoma.
I'm Manuel Pembele Fulutoma.
Trabalho para a Judeca, Associação Juvenil para o Desenvolvimento Comunitário de Angola.
I work for Judeca. It's a youth association for the development of youth in Angola.
Há 25 anos dedico a vida na matéria da sociedade civil.
I dedicate about 25 years up to today to issues of life in civil society.
E aqui trago algumas informações no que diz respeito à pilhagem de recursos em Angola.
And here I'll bring some reports about the looting of mineral resources in Angola.
Num período de três anos,
between a period of 3 years,
entre 2015 a 2000. Num período de 3 anos entre 2015 a 2017, baseando-me na saída do primeiro presidente que fez 40 e tal anos para o novo presidente que é o João Lourenço.
And I'm basing this on a span of 3 years between 2015 and 17, and during the term of the first president that stayed over 40 years, as you know, and the new president, which is João Lourenço.
Os problemas de Angola começam com o modelo de governação que há muitos anos Angola veio tendo.
The issue of Angola is based on the type of governance that has been there for various years.
Primeiro momento, Angola experienciou as eleições em 1992.
The first elections in Angola were in 1992.
Levou muitos anos depois, veio ter a segunda experiência das eleições legislativas apenas em 2008.
And the second legislative elections, it was in 2008. In 2008.
Essas eleições é que oficializaram a presença do José Eduardo dos Santos como presidente do MPLA e presidente de Angola.
And these elections, those are the ones that gave the authority to the incumbent president, José Eduardo dos Santos, as the president of Angola.
Mas a sua oficialização e credibilidade diante do povo só aconteceu nas eleições praticamente de 2012, onde houve a sessão de investidura.
And his credibility within the populace, it only became real in 2004.
E nesse preciso momento, em 2017, tivemos as eleições de onde o José Eduardo dos Santos deixa o poder e põe em frente o João Lourenço, que é atual presidente da República.
And in 2017, President José Eduardo dos Santos leaves the power and gives it to João Lourenço, which is the actual president of Angola.
Todas essas eleições que o MPLA foi ganhando foram sempre com apoio, ou em corrupção, com apoio financeiro das multinacionais petrolíferas e diamantíferas.
All these elections that the MPLA won, they did that through the support of the multinationals, multinational companies.
Dando-lhes dinheiros e eles prorrogando os contratos de exploração dos recursos naturais.
They were given money so that they could carry on with the exploration of the mineral resources.
Nesse preciso momento, temos parlamento de maioria qualificada a favor do MPLA.
At the moment, we have a parliament that has got a majority from the MPLA party.
E mais de 5 forças políticas, que é a UNITA, Casa CE, PRS e FNLA.
And we have a opposition parties that is UNITA, Casa C, PRS and FNL.
O regime político é presidencialismo.
The regime is presidential regime.
O presidente da República tem o poder, ele é o chefe do governo.
The president is the head of the state.
Tem poder de nomear os órgãos legislativos.
He has the power to nominate the legislative institutions.
Inclusive o Tribunal Supremo.
Inclusive the Supreme High Court, Supreme Court.
Isto leva Angola a não ter separação de poderes.
And that makes Angola not having a separation of
e é
powers.
Problema maior no sistema democrático.
And this is one of the biggest problems in the democratic system.
Atualmente o clima político tende a ser melhor.
Actually, the political climate is getting better.
Ou há maior abertura da imprensa.
Or there's more openness within the media.
As pessoas conseguem reivindicar os seus direitos.
People they reivindicate their rights.
Muita veiculação de informação nas redes sociais.
And there's quite a lot of circulation of information in the social media.
Mas do outro lado,
but on the other side,
temos o aumento do desemprego.
There's an increase on unemployment.
Baixo poder aquisitivo das populações.
Less buying power within the populace.
Aumento da criminalidade.
Increase of criminality.
E os aspectos de saúde e educação continuam a ser dos piores da África.
And the issues of health and education, they are the West. They are still the West in Africa.
Nesse preciso momento, o custo de vida é bastante elevado.
And at this moment, the cost of living is very high.
Uma noite num dos hotéis de 5 estrelas em Angola custa entre 500 a 600 dólares.
If you have to go to a 5-star hotel in Angola just to stay one night, you will be paying about $500 to $600.
Olha, Angola é país muito rico em termos de recursos naturais.
Angola is a very rich country in relation to natural mineral resources.
O seu solo e subsolo tem mais de 35 dos 45 minérios mais importantes do comércio mundial.
It is from the
35 dos 45.
From the 45 most sought minerals, Angola has got 35.
Entre esses, o petróleo, gás natural, diamante, fosfato e outras substâncias bituminosas e rochas ornamentais.
And between those, there's oil, there's iron, copper, magnesium, gold, and other.
Também possui variedades no que diz respeito muitos hectares em termos de madeira.
And there is quite a number of a big area of hardwood.
E também variedade de peixe e marisco, porque a costa angolana é rica do ponto de vista de peixe.
As well with fish and other sea products. As you know that Angola has got a very large coast.
No período entre 2015 e 2017,
Between 2015 and 2017,
a produção petrolífera atingiu 91,5 bilhões de dólares.
the oil production is reached $91.5 billion
Isto numa produção de 1,8 bilhões de baris,
in a production of 1.8 billion barrels,
com a média diária de 1,7 milhão baris,
with a daily medium of 1.7 billion barrels
a preço médio de 49 dólares.
at a medium price of $49.
Gás natural rendeu neste período 51 mil milhões de dólares.
Natural gas had a revenue of 51 million US dollars,
Totalizando 91,55 bilhões de dólares.
putting together the total was 91.5 billion dollars.
Angola tem muitas empresas ligadas com a zona Angola que explora o petróleo.
Angola has got quite a number of companies that are linked to Sonangol, the one that exploits the oil.
BP está lá,
The BP is there,
Esso está lá,
Esso,
Chevron, Statoil e mais de 40 empresas associadas vindo em diferentes partes do mundo.
and more than 40 companies associated to those ones that come from various parts of the world.
Em 2015, em termos de exportações de petróleo,
In 2015, in relation to export of oil,
a China exportou na dimensão de 48% de petróleo.
China exported about 48% of the oil,
Índia 13%,
India 13%,
Taiwan e Indonésia, Espanha 5%.
Taiwan, Indonesia and Spain 5%.
2016, a China sobe por 62,7%.
And in 2016, China went to 62.7%,
A Índia 9,8%,
India 9.8%,
Taiwan 6,6%.
and Taiwan 6.6%.
E 2017 a Índia sobe de novo por 69,6%.
And in 2017, China increased to 69.6%.
Isto devido à imposição da China diante da dívida pública que Angola tem vinda da China.
That was caused because of the imposition of China based on the debt that public debt that Angola has with China.
Nesse preciso momento, o governo angolano tem uma dívida pública interna avaliada a 37%.
At the moment, Angola has got a public debt in the range of 37%,
interna
internal debt,
e 63% externa.
and 63 external.
E desta dívida temos 70% proveniente da China.
From this debt, we got 70% that comes from China.
Significa a China continua a liderar a questão de captação de fundos da produção de qualquer tipo de recursos em Angola.
That is to say that China is leading the capture of funds that come from the resources in Angola.
Mas também de salientar que Angola não começou a cooperação, ou a linha de crédito da China não começou agora.
But also to say that the line of credit with China didn't start recently.
Começou em 1985,
It started in 1985.
que estava simplesmente ligada com o MPLA,
It was linked with MPLA
no sentido de compra de material bélica.
that was in relation to the purchase of armament.
Só em 2012
In 2012,
que agora a dívida foi dada ao governo.
that's when the debt was passed to the government.
Os diamantes renderam neste período 3,4 bilhões de dólares.
The revenues from the diamonds from that time, it went to $3.2 billion.
A preço com uma produção de 27,4 milhões de quilates,
with 27.1 million kilets
a preço médio de 123,3 dólares por quilate.
to a medium price of $123.3 per kilo.
É nesse período que Angola consegue extrair também diamante através de uma empresa australiana de valor de 404,12 quilates.
It was during that time also that Angola managed through an Australian company to extract 404.2 kilets on diamonds.
Vendido pela Isabel dos Santos, que é filho de José Eduardo dos Santos, a 16 milhões numa relojaria suíça.
And as you know, Isabel dos Santos, that is the daughter of the former president José Eduardo dos Santos, she managed to sell that diamond in Switzerland with a value of $16 million.
Porque ela é sócia da empresa de Grisogono.
Because
Na
she's a,
verdade, transformou esse diamante por uma pedra rara de 164 quilates.
she's a partner to one of the consortium that is called Grisogono.
E essa empresa leilou esse diamante, essa joia por 40 milhões de dólares.
And this company went to sell that diamond to about $40 million.
Aqui começa a ver como é que o país está perdendo por optar em vender os minérios brutos e não passar na edição de valor.
And here you can notice that how the country is losing the revenues through the selling of raw material instead of adding value to it.
Angola tem cerca de 167 projetos de mineração ou de diamantes industrial.
Angola has got about 166 projects of mineral projects.
Mas a maioria parte, 60% dessas empresas, pertence ao Jiangdaming, que é da China, e CITIC.
And 60% of those projects, they belong to a Chinese company called the Jiangdaming and CITIC from China.
Qual o mecanismo que ajuda a pilhagem de recursos em Angola e quais são os casos práticos que temos neste momento?
What is the setup that helps the looting of mineral resources in Angola?
Primeiro, de dizer que a pilhagem de recursos em Angola é fundamentalmente político.
First to say that the looting in Angola is basically political issue.
Durante o período de José Eduardo dos Santos,
During the time of José Eduardo Santos,
usou o sistema de paternalismo
he used the partner system
e também usou praticamente uma liderança liberal.
and he used liberal leadership.
Pode-se levantar milhões de dinheiro ao banco, ao telefone, e o gestor bancário vai te deixar em casa.
You could make a call to the manager of the bank that you want to withdraw about $1 million, and the manager could take that money to your house.
E depois a privatização da propriedade fundiária do Estado
And the privatization of the public property,
e criar barreiras às instituições pró-transparência e direitos humanos
and creating barriers to the institutions that do pro-human rights and transparency.
Criação de empresas fantasmas profundos,
Creation of ghost companies,
e também pedido de comissão de 10 a 15% por cada projeto que qualquer empresa venha implementar em Angola.
and the request of 10 to 15% of commission for each and every company that goes and invests in Angola.
Do ponto de vista legislativo,
In relation to the legislation,
a Constituição da República não tem clara evidência sobre o poder dos deputados em monitorar ou fiscalizar o erário público.
The Constitution has no clarity to the functions of the Member of Parliament to monitor and control what's going on in that sector.
O presidente do Tribunal Supremo,
The judge of Supreme Court,
ele é o presidente das cerimônias das investiduras.
he is the one that appoints or appoints the president,
membro do comitê central do MPLA,
members of Central Committee of
e
MPLA,
ao mesmo tempo empresário número 1 do país.
and he is number one businessman in the country,
Cuja a capacidade financeira está avaliada a 33% da toda a economia do país.
and his financial capacity is estimated to 33% of the whole the country's economy.
Durante esse tempo aconteceram muitos casos de desvio de fundos.
During that time, there were quite a lot of looting of public funds.
Primeiro caso é a construção do novo aeroporto de Angola, que demora há 14 anos.
And the first issue is the construction of the new airport in Angola that took almost 14 years.
Isto é a empreitada é a China International Fund.
And the company that is doing that is China International Fund,
Num valor de 6 mil milhões de dólares.
valued at $6 million.
E agora a empresa declarou a falência.
And now the company is insolvent.
Mas o governo não diz nada.
But the government doesn't say anything about it.
E contrataram mais nova empresa, VIC, da própria China também,
Now they've contracted a new company from China
que vai terminar com a construção até 2022.
that is going to conclude the construction up to 2022.
Não se publicou o contrato
The contract was not put
e
for
também
bid,
ninguém conhece qual é o valor orçamentário.
and no one knows what's the budget.
O segundo caso é da burla tailandesa.
The second one is the looting of from Thailand
Que envolveu 50 mil milhões de dólares.
that involved about 50 million US dollars.
Esta burla teve envolvido pessoas de alta patente das FAS, polícia, até agentes bancários.
This looting, people who were involved in this looting were the armed forces, the national police, even the
Agentes bancários.
bank agents.
Eles criaram uma empresa fantasma para saquear do cofre do Estado 50 mil milhões de dólares.
They created a ghost company so that they could loot over 50 million US dollars.
O terceiro caso é do Manuel Vicente, que todo mundo sabe que foi vice-presidente da República entre 2010 a 2017.
The third
12 a
issue
2017.
is the case of Manuel Vicente, that was the vice president of Angola.
Envolveu 170 mil milhões de dólares.
He was involved in $170 million.
Ele usou o tráfico de influência para facilitar uma empresa fantasma para poderem tratar das coisas de dinheiro em Angola.
He used his influence to create a ghost company so that he could loot the public funds.
O último caso trata de repatriamento de fundos que se encontra na posse de 71 líderes angolanos, ou grandes chefes angolanos.
The last issue is the repatriation of forex that was stashed outside the country. That involves about 71 highest leaders.
Entre este, o ex-presidente José Eduardo dos
And
Santos
one of them is the ex-president.
e também o chefe da Casa Civil, o José Leitão,
And the other one is José Leitão,
atual vice-presidente Gordito de Souza,
the actual vice president.
num valor de 23,4 bilhões de dólares.
And the money that it involves estimated to be $23.4 billion.
Na verdade, o grande reflexo desse roubo,
The biggest reflection of the looting,
o petróleo só contribui 27% no orçamento geral do Estado, valores provenientes das receitas fiscais.
the revenue from the oil, it contributes only 27% to the fiscals.
E o valor de endividamento nesse preciso momento no orçamento geral do Estado é de 49,3%.
And the debt at the moment is 49.3%.
O grande problema está no setor social,
The biggest problem is in the social sector,
onde apenas temos 19% do orçamento geral do Estado.
where there is only 19% of the national budget.
Na vida social,
In the social life,
Angola já não tem mais transporte público porque foi à
there's
falência.
no public transport because
Os hospitais funcionam sem medicamentos.
the hospitals, they don't have medicines.
Os casos de malária subiram a 21%,
The malaria cases, they shoot up to 91%.
SIDA 95%,
HIV and AIDS,
95%.
95%.
A área de educação, a taxa de analfabetismo subiu a 78%.
The education system also is in shambles.
Nesse preciso momento, Angola, estamos a avaliar que está perdendo, de uma maneira média desses 3 anos, Angola perdeu aproximadamente 61 mil milhões de dólares saqueado no cofre do Estado.
It is estimated that during these 3 years, Angola lost in excess of $66 million as a sack from the government funds.
Qual a estratégia para prevenir os futuros saques?
The strategy is to impede the looting.
É preciso desenvolver núcleos de trabalhos na região da SADC,
We need to have work nucleus within the SADC region
para desenvolver estudos profundos sobre a realidade de cada país,
so that we have a study based on the reality of each country,
desenvolver campanhas contra a corrupção,
to develop campaigns against corruption,
reforçar a implementação das autarquias locais em cada país,
to give power to the local authorities in each country,
e também desenvolver programas de capacitação da população no sentido que eles participem na gestão do erário público.
and have develop programs of capacity building within the populace so that they can understand the context of the issue.
Em conclusão,
In conclusion,
entendemos que a Angola, como a África, ostenta variedade de recursos que não são insuficientes para que o povo dele viva em miséria.
we understand that Angola is a base of mineral resources that does not justify that its people live in misery. or in
A
poverty.
única causa é o espírito materialista que quase faz com que as pessoas façam pilhagem dos recursos existentes.
The only issue is the material spirit that people have that make them to carry on with the looting.
Os estudos, a monitoria social e a gestão dos mesmos é a solução que pode nos unir para que possamos vencer
The study
a pilhagem.
and the monitoring of these issues is the only way that we can progress so that we can overcome this problem.
Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much.
Muito obrigado, senhor. Familiar pattern, lot of rich in minerals, but poverty and debt. This is not even a joke. These are all true stories that you hear. There was a saying, who's the richest man in Brazil? Dos Santos. You know that?
Formal is Dos Santos. Informal is the Rui Ferreira. Yeah. What goes in the document is Santo, but in the
Muito.
real sense,
Muito mal.
muito mal.
Very bad.
Yeah.
Okay, what I propose now is we break for tea and sandwiches.